on promoting women's political participation across Papua New Guinea. I would like to thank the United Nations Development Program for organizing
Papua
this
New
forum,
Guinea
which
still
partners
lag behind many nations in the world in terms of women's representation in parliament. Statistics show that only 6 women have been elected into parliament since 1975. Only recently it had 3 women elected into parliament in 2012. All 3 lost their seat this year. This prompted widespread concern among women and development partners such as the United Nations Development Programme. To deal with this, the UNDP organized a women's forum to listen to women leaders around the country. The forum brought together women from the 4 regions of Papua New Guinea and featured various speakers from the public and private sectors. Julie Bukikun is the Assistant Resident Representative and Head of Governance for UNDP in Papua New Guinea. She has been instrumental in driving the Sub-National Forum on Women's Political Participation. The forum held in Madang province is one of the many forums organized to address the concern on women's representation. It is hoped a policy framework will be developed from the forum to drive the agendas discussed.
And we will also be assisting them to come up with a sub-regional outcome document for this forum. But it should also be able to assist them to go back and organize themselves to also advocate for the issues that they feel that are important. We already heard about how they're interested to get to know parties, how they can go into parties, form parties. They talked about what can they do, asking Dr. Sapoy about those temporary special measures that have been left. Well, nomination always was a contention, but what can they do about bringing back reserved seats and how would it look like? They also spoke about the need to be getting more capacity building around, for example, knowing how to stand for elections, organizing campaigns and so forth. So similar issues from the national level, but now more contextualized on the provincial level, which we're really pleased to also hear, because that means that our people back in our provinces and our communities are also thinking about this issue and they're concerned, and they're trying to see what they can do to also address this issue of having no women up in the national parliament. And I think all of us here are also aware that, of course, we talk about national parliament, but this issue of women in leadership is right throughout all levels that we should be looking at. There are also issues where concerns about how to strengthen women who are in provincial government and those in other boards, other institutions. So those kind of discussions have been taking place here. We had more than 100 women and men, of course, here discussing this, and we're very pleased to see the active engagement. And of course, thanking who are here. We did not also mention that we also a representative from the Speaker's office who joined us, and also from the Ombudsman.
According to UNDP, 167 women contested the elections this year. Only a few have come close to winning, losing with slight margins. There were many factors that contributed to their loss: the cultural barrier and the overall electoral process deemed unfavorable towards women. The Registry of Political Parties and Candidates is also playing its part in promoting the interest of women. As equal participation is fundamental to democracy, the registry has plans to introduce reforms in the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates. Dr. Alphonse Gallo says a quota system will be one of the many reforms to be introduced.
This morning we went through the various reforms that the Registry of Political Parties has worked on. One of those very important reforms is the quota system that we are introducing in our revised organic law. And that quota system basically would allow political parties to endorse a certain quota of endorsed candidates during elections in Papua New Guinea. For us, that is a start. And that is an initiative that we've introduced that we will carry through in working with political parties, but at the same time also assist our other stakeholders in pushing for the other agendas that they're also pushing to increase more participation by women in the national affairs of this country.
It has even carried out a research on the different voting systems in the world. The limited preferential voting system currently used by the PNG Electoral Commission is just one of the many voting systems. He says many countries have had to change their voting systems to drive agendas of concern in their countries. The same can be done in Papua New Guinea to change the LPV system to promote the interest of women.
Foremost interest for us at the registry to promote democracy. So how can we promote democracy when it comes to this particular issue? The way in which we want to promote democracy in Papua New Guinea is by strengthening social inclusiveness. That is a very, very important requirement of any democracy around the world today. And for what has happened in the 2017 election, where we lost the 3 women MPs, should be a big concern to everyone. And we at the registry, we are only advancing that particular concern that we would have, especially when people come to talk about Papua New Guinea and in terms of its progress in advancing equality as one of those other important principles of democracy. So our participation in this forum is basically to share with the participants on what the registry of political parties has been doing in the last 5 years. We are working with political parties, we are strengthening political parties, we are building their capacities. At the same time, we are encouraging political parties to open up and getting women in as members of those political parties. So that is what we are doing.
That report concluded by the registry is still awaiting implementation by the